Welcome to the Rotary Times Show, a public service program presented by Rotary District 7610. On our programs, we talk with Rotarians and community leaders and discuss how Rotary International builds partnerships to support local, national, and world communities. I am your host, Rotarian Dr. Deborah Jackson from the Rotary Club of McLean, Virginia. The success of a Rotary Club is dependent on the club president. They lead, inspire, motivate, and connect their clubs with communities and others locally and around the world. Joining me remotely is Rotarian Wavery Brown, who is the president of the Rotary Club of Lake Ridge, Virginia for the 2022-23 Rotary year. Welcome, President Wavery, to the Rotary Times Show.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. Looking forward to it.
Great. I'm so glad you were able to accept the invitation. I know you were busy there for a bit, but you were able to work us in, and I am delighted to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and get started. We like to let our viewing audience know a little bit about our guests. So talk to us about your background and your life before Rotary.
Okay, it's very interesting. I'm a Mississippi girl. My first 13 years was on a farm in Mississippi. My family then relocated to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. There I graduated from high school, and I took a year to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. And I eventually ended up enrolling in Baldwin-Wallace University in Berea, Ohio, where I received an undergraduate and my MBA degrees. Then I started working in Cleveland, Ohio, first with a machine tool company. And from there, I was ambitious and got with a startup steel company, worked there until 1989, and moved out west to Washington State for a company called Battelle. And was there until 89 till I moved back to the Washington, D.C. area.
Okay.
And been here ever since.
Great. Well, welcome back. I'm familiar
Thank you.
with many of those companies that you've noted. How about the Lake Ridge Club? How did you get involved in Rotary and then the Lake Ridge Club?
Well, it's interesting because Rotary found me, or maybe we meshed together. I was involved with the elementary school in my neighborhood. I started getting involved before I retired in 2012 with giving them crayons and paper they needed for the school. So I did that. And then after I retired, I got more involved and I found out that they needed food at home. There were kids with no food at home. So I started providing 60 meals once a month for the weekend. And one of the guys from the Rotary found out about this and he asked me about getting involved in Rotary. Well, I thought it was kind of a joke at the time. And he kept on me a couple of months and I finally went to a meeting and I've been hooked ever since.
All righty. They call that drinking the Rotary Kool-Aid. So
yes.
we're glad you do that. Tell us about the Lake Ridge Club, you know, a little bit about it, its demographics, how large is it, how small is it? Tell us about it.
Well, the Lake Ridge Club is a spinoff from the Woodbridge Club, and we have 34 members. Our members range in age from 24 to over 80 years of age. Our demographics, 68% men, 32% female. We meet 7:30 every Wednesday. We are a breakfast meeting. We meet at a place called Harbor Chase Living Facility in Woodbridge. We are really a fun group of people. We look forward to the meeting and we are really involved in the community.
Wonderful, great to hear. 7:30 in the morning. That's wonderful. I love the fact that Rotary has different time, you know, for clubs to be.
Yes.
I'm a luncheon club, and that works for me.
like the morning club.
Yeah.
One of the reason I joined, and we have quite a few people that are still employed. So they
Okay.
can come in for the meeting and then get out and get to work.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. That does make sense. Um, Club functions, how's that handled at your club? Or do you all have programs weekly, speakers? What are some of the things that you have to ensure that your club functions well?
Well, yes, we do have at least 2 to 3 speakers a week. We have a board meeting the first Thursday of each month, and the Wednesday following the board meeting is our administrative meeting, just letting the club members know what's going on. There is strictly for administration. The others, we look at having speakers in. Our speakers include people that we are working with in the community, where we've given funds to for different projects. We like to know what's going on, how they're spending the money, and maybe something we can do better or different. So yes, there's always a full agenda.
Okay, do you have a website, a very active website that people can go to find out what you're doing as well?
Yes, we have lakeridgerotary.org, and we also have a Facebook page, and we have a new PR person who's putting together a Twitter page.
Ah, nice, nice. The Twitter, Instagram, all those things
Yes,
are useful. Community service, how are you involved, or your club, how are they involved in the community?
We have several projects that we do in the community as far as giving back. This past weekend, we just finished what we call our Done in a Day drive. Now, what Done in a Day is, on Saturday in front of Safeway, we collect food and we collect coats. The food that we collect, which this year normally is somewhere around 55 to 56,000 pounds of food. We divide that up. The small items go to the Fellowship House, which is mostly senior living, so they can handle big cans and things of food. The larger items we send over to ACTS, which is our community center, food center, and we also send some to Street Light, which we did this year for this first time, and that's for the homeless people.
Wonderful. So that keeps you all very, very busy,
Yes.
in your local community.
Yes.
You're the new president. And by the way, congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you.
What do you have planned as a new president for your club this year?
Well, one of the things that we've done this year is I mentioned earlier that we do a lot with the Belmont Elementary School, where we provide weekend meals, which I have provided over the last probably 10 or 12 years. And this year, the club decided to take it on. I still do the collection and packing them, putting them in the brown bags, getting them to the schools so they can put them in the backpack. So that's one of the great things that I'm very appreciative. The club decided to take that on without even being asked about it, which made me feel very good because they knew what I have been doing in the past several years for that. The other thing that we do is, my role is, I like to get out and feel the community that we're involved in. And by that, I mean being involved, getting to spend some time with the people, doing functions. At our Fellowship House, which more of a senior subsidized housing facility, once a month, the third Wednesday of every month, we go in and we're there around 1 o'clock, and we celebrate the birthdays for that month with cake and ice cream. And they all come in for that. And they look forward to that cake and ice cream.
That's do you sing happy birthday as well?
Yes, we do, and give them the little hats.
There you go. That is wonderful.
And they love it.
That's special. To hear you say it, it's very special for our seniors to be able to have that interaction. So thank you for sharing that. How about vocational service? Is your club, maybe tied into maybe a local high school and some of their specialized certification programs, or maybe the community has a certification program that you all could be in touch with?
Well, we are involved, and we give funds to Northern Virginia Community College here in Woodbridge. to help students in that school that are short of funds. But we also are heavily involved with things like the Habitat of Humanity, Project Mender House, when they're working on projects of funds in the Lake Ridge area and they need funds, they come to us.
Okay,
And we
to
assist them
support
with
that.
funding.
All right. Do you do a community needs assessment to determine where those needs might be so that you can reach out? You know, say they come to you. How do they know to come to you, or how do you all get connected to many of those organizations?
Well, we do that by reaching out. And again, you know, I spent a lot of time this year reaching out to people that we kind of dropped for a year to let them know, number one, we're available. We'd like to know what they're working on and how they're supporting the community. And what is it that we can do to work together to do that? Our speaker this coming Wednesday is the speaker from the Tribute at the Glen, which is a senior citizen housing. And she wants to work with us on, number one, getting more activities in the community. And we're looking forward to doing that.
Absolutely. So that's a wonderful way to support, maybe that's a 501c3, but to support a private organization to help others. So that's wonderful. How about international? Did your club host any international projects?
Yes, we has contributed working with the Centerville Rotary and the Chantilly Rotary with Haiti, where we're getting clean water, and they are building a school there, which the storm, I think, demolished the school. So we're doing some of that. We just finished working with the Richmond Rotary to for some shelter boxes in the Ukraine. And I think we're doing Polio Plus.
Gotcha. 3 very, very worthwhile international projects. And when I think about it, the other 7 areas of focus, you are into 3 of those with the projects that you have. So that means a lot, I'm sure, to internationally, to clubs around the world. So thank you for sharing, those areas. We're going to come back in a minute and talk more about some of the things that your club is doing. But for now, we're going to take a short break and be right back and talk more with President Wavery Brown. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the Rotary Times. We're here talking with Rotarian Wavery Brown, the president of the Rotary Club of Lake Ridge, Virginia, for the 2022-23 Rotary year. Oh my goodness, it was so wonderful hearing about your many areas of focus that you all and your club are involved in. Because you have such a deep wealth of projects, what has been the one that has been most personally satisfying for you?
The one most personally satisfying is providing the weekend meals for 50 kids with no food at home. And I was I was really floored when I found out this was happening in my back door. I'm able to do that, and also it taught me a lesson to not be wasteful with food.
Yeah.
And that I think is the most important thing. One other thing that stood out, and it kind of made me brought some tears to my eyes. I was at the fellowship house, and I'm always open and talking to all of the men and women there at the house. But one lady had just moved in, and she wasn't sure. And when she came in, and I just said, "How are you?" And she comes back to me every month and tell me that was the best thing that ever happened to her because she just was not happy until she saw me, and she says, "I was so open and caring." She says, "You would be my friend for life."
There you go. That's Rotary, right? That's Rotary. So we have friends for life. How does your family support you, Wavery, with your involvement? Being the president of a Rotary Club is very demanding. It's very overwhelming because it's time consuming. So how do they support you in your role as the president?
Well, it's kind of easy because I'm single.
Oh, okay. But you may have other family that comes out and support you.
Yes, and I do have lots of family and friends. No one in the area. All of my family's back west or in the northern part of the country. But when they are here or my friends are here, they're very supportive. I'm always reaching out for them for support on the code drive. We do credit cards for foster care. I'm asking for $25 gift cards, and they come forward with it, and I appreciate it. But one of the things that I guess really stand out is I was raised on a farm. Didn't we grew everything, and my grandmother always taught us to share, always give back, and I can understand that now better than I did as a child because it doesn't matter. You always have something to give back.
Yes, yes. I don't know if your grandmother is still with us, but I know she'd be very proud of you right now.
I think she would. I know my mom and my aunts and uncles, they've all expressed how proud they are of me.
Yes, yes, great. That's a legacy that you're creating. And you're
Yes.
modeling for the rest of the
Yes.
family what needs to occur to
Yes.
keep grandma's legacy going.
Exactly.
Yeah. Service above self. How has that been helpful to you in conducting your own personal life and business?
Well, it's interesting because I never heard of the four-way test until I got involved with Rotary. And I find that a lot of things I'm doing or I start to do or I think about, I always go back to the four-way test. And I tell people, I says, it's not really for Rotary, it's for your everyday life. If you go through it and think about it and go through it and think about what are you doing? How are you helping? Is it fair to all concerned? Those things are very, very important. So
Absolutely.
I kind of live by the four-way test.
There you go. You're a walking example, which is great. Given all the changes that Rotary is going through in terms of its demographics, in terms of its age, because we're seeing more young people come to Rotary, what would you recommend to a local club in terms of their own membership growth?
Well, I think first of all, being out there, being involved. We have changed a little of the dynamics of our club and working on doing some more because we are going after a younger population. The younger population isn't into what Rotary was or is 15 to 20 years ago. They love projects, getting them done and moving on. Some of my members that's been around for a while, they like the social gathering where you come in, have breakfast, joke and catch up and those type of things. The young ones, project gone, project gone. So,
Yeah, yeah. Their focus is very different than
yes.
when you and I were coming up. Do you have a formal onboarding program in your club to help get people, acclimated to the club so that we see them? Because we know research is telling us that people are not staying very long in clubs. So how do you ensure that you have that sustainability and that longevity with your members?
Well, what we do is anyone that's interested in the club must be involved in at least 3 projects before we would consider their application. And at that time, they always have a sponsor, and their sponsor will spend some time with them, along with me as the president, to talk about what some of our expectations are of them and find out what it is that they want to bring to the club, how we can mesh that together and make it a win-win situation for both parties.
That's wonderful.
But most of it is making sure they're out there involved on a project in meetings just to understand the club.
Do you have what we traditionally used to call the fireside chats, where we meet with our club members, or we have club assemblies? Do you all do any of those things as well?
Yes, we do the fireside chat. Unfortunately, we didn't get to do any during the COVID part, but we're bringing that back again because once a year we normally do that, and we normally do it with our school backpacking because we pack 50 backpacks of school supplies for the schools at Belmont Elementary. And with that, we include the fireside chat because we get everybody together and everybody's having a great time getting school supplies in backpacks and getting them delivered.
Gotcha. Okay. What do you feel the key elements of retaining your existing members? We know we have what we have to do to keep the newer ones, but those existing ones, how do you ensure that they too are still satisfied with the club experience?
Well, I try to keep them involved. And by that is when we have new members coming on, I try to get the new member with their senior member to kind of shadow them so they can understand their Rotary, and also setting up a succession plan for people moving into positions.
Wonderful.
But I let them know they're important and we need to know the history, and they're constantly telling us the history of the club. And those things are, I think, quite important.
I like your succession planning because I think we're finding more and more clubs that are having more and more difficulty getting people in the line for the presidency. Have you found that having that succession plan has been helpful for that?
Well, that's something that I just started. We didn't have that before. And when I came in and was trying to get my slate together, it was interesting of the people that, we're not sure. And then I started bringing my private experience for years into Rotary and thinking, okay, we need to change the dynamics here. When I was working on the private side, we always had succession plans and people lined up. And I thought, why can't I do this for Rotary? And that's what we implemented.
That's wonderful. So you're building the capacity of those individuals as they move up and through.
Right.
Wonderful. I know in my club we start, if you're eventually going to be the president, you start as the secretary. And then so you end up with at least 2 to 3 years of experience at that level before you get there. So that's wonderful to hear. As we close the program, I am going to ask you for just your closing remarks. We may have some individuals out there who are hearing you right now, young people, people who are working, people who are retired. What might you tell our viewing audience that have an interest in becoming a Rotarian and giving back? What would you say to them?
I would say we all have something to give. Think about what your passion is, what you want to do, and reach out to the Rotary. I reach out anywhere to give back to the community. It doesn't have to be anything large. It can be just one thing. You know, I had one lady this past week, she bought a coat and she wanted to give a coat to the kid at school. One coat is going to make a big difference in someone's life. And all we want to do is make a difference and show this child, this person, that there is a better world out there. And that will help them to come up and look back and do the same thing.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you for those words, because they ring true. And as you build your legacy in Rotary, that is very, very special. So thank you. And thank you for joining us today, accepting the invitation to come on to talk about your experience with Rotary and the Lake Ridge Club experience. So very dynamic, and we hope that you will think about coming back and see us again in the future and update us.
Thank you so very much. It was an honor to be here.
It's an honor having you, and thank you. Funding for this program is made possible by the generosity of the Jackson family of Rotary District 7610, Virginia. For the Rotary Times program, I am your host, Rotarian Dr. Deborah Jackson from the Rotary Club of McLean, Virginia. You are welcome to join us at a Rotary Club in your area for either breakfast, lunch, dinner, or service project. You can find a club near you by just looking us up on the internet. Many clubs are hosting meetings in person, virtually, or in some hybrid format. You only need to look us up for details. Remember, our time is your time, and it's time well spent. Please join us for our next program as we continue to celebrate Rotary's 117 years of service above self.